Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am very pleased that you are joining us for an early morning lecture. Thank you very much. I would like to inform you today about some personnel decisions that I have made in the last few days. These decisions concern exclusively the federal cabinet. We will discuss further decisions in the party in the next few days. When the committees of the CDU have met, I will inform you. At this point, however, I would like to thank Thorston Fry very much. He has done a very good job as Federal Minister for Special Tasks and as head of the Federal Chancellery. He has accompanied me in this office since the beginning of the election period, but also in the last election period of the German Bundestag as the first parliamentary managing director of the Bundestagsfraktion. I am grateful to him for the work he has done in the party, here in the House, in the government. Thorston Fry has a significant share in the success of the government's work so far and in the stability of the coalition. The reform successes that we have achieved in the last few weeks in particular are also his merit. I would like to say it explicitly. I am happy that Markus Söder and I were able to quickly agree to nominate him as the new chairman of the CDU-CSU Bundestagsfraktion. We will also elect him in the party's special session on Wednesday. I am happy that I can win as a successor Nina Warken. She will take over this task as head of the Federal Chancellery and as Federal Minister for Special Tasks. With her, for the first time in the history of our country, a woman will move into the German Federal Chancellery as the head of the Federal Chancellery. I am very happy that she is ready to take on this task. In the past few months, Nina Warken has shown in the federal government as Health Minister that she leads a ministry, that she can enforce reforms even against resistance, and that she also manages various issues in all their complexity. Nina Warken is also a tough negotiator. Everyone noticed that in the last few months. She is strong in enforcement and she is also at home in the security policy issues, which are also coordinated here in the House. With her, she will be one of the most important in the daily work of the government, if not the most important support for me and the most important contact person. I look forward to working together. We have known each other for many years. After all, we do not only work in the government, but also in the party together. As an elected member of the Presidium of the CDU Germany, as chairman of the Women's Union, and as a long-term parliamentarian, she knows the political processes and the issues best. Nina, again, I am really happy that we can continue this cooperation in a new composition. I am pleased that Carsten Linnemann has followed my request and will take over the office of the Federal Health Minister. The ministry has become a central resource in the reform efforts of my government, if necessary. However, I also want to add that Carsten Linnemann takes over a ministry that stands for the fastest-growing sector of our people's economy. The entire health sector, which we unfortunately consider far too often as a purely cost factor, is a very important part of our social life. Health care and care for the elderly are one thing, but a well-functioning industry, starting with the pharmaceutical industry, medical technology, and many other topics, such as facilities and hospitals, is a major and fastest-growing part of our people's economy. Carsten Linnemann will take over the responsibility for this. With the care reform and other structural reforms in health policy, major reform projects will be implemented during this election period. We have to keep up the reform course. For this, we need a minister who is steadfast and willing to reform, even in the face of adversity. By the way, Carsten Linnemann has already been responsible for the health sector in the coalition negotiations. He has negotiated all the issues in the coalition committee, so he knows what he is talking about. Finally, for today, the relationship between the federal government and the states is of paramount importance in a federal state. Our federal state only works if the federal government and the states work well together. As you know, I have always tried to have a good outcome in the federal state with the countries. I will therefore appoint Philipp Amthor as the new Minister of State for Federal-State Relations in the Chancellory. He will share his experiences from the ministry's modernization and digitization agenda, which he has so far served as Parliamentary Secretary of State. And he will bring the coordination in the entire federal modernization agenda to the Federal Chancellery. As a reminder, in December of last year, we decided on the most comprehensive federal digitization and modernization agenda in a minister-presidential conference, which has ever existed, unanimously with all ministers and presidents of all countries. Much of this is already on the way. Philipp Amthor will be responsible for continuing to advance the coordination here in the House. Incidentally, he is well connected with the heads of state offices in all 16 federal states. He is a good politician and parliamentarian, but he is also an excellent lawyer. And that is exactly what is needed at this point on these issues. Also to you, dear Philipp, thank you very much. Just like Carsten Linnemann. Thank you both very much. I would like to take this opportunity to thank my colleague Michael Meister for the work he has done. Michael Meister is a decades-experienced parliamentarian. He was also a state secretary several times. A good connoisseur of our federal system, he will continue to do his work in Parliament. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to add today that there will be further changes in the federal cabinet. I will inform you about this at a given time. But these decisions do not need a few more days and perhaps more time, especially in view of the summer break. But I decide that without time pressure and with the necessary care and the conversations that are necessary. Finally, we have achieved a lot in the last 15 months in the federal government. I would like to thank all cabinet members who contributed to this, and they were all in the cabinet, in the Bundestagsfraktion, also in the parties. All personal decisions that I can make today are subordinated to this premise, namely to continue to want and achieve the best for our country. The personnel changes follow a clear guideline. We want a government that works contentiously with the greatest elan and with joy, and also represents the personal diversity of our society and politics. We are a reform government, and we want to continue to show that. Yes, in this sense, I would like to say once again to the colleagues, thank you very much for the willingness to take on new tasks. We will now carefully prepare the tasks in the summer break, and we will then start with a new momentum after the parliamentary summer holidays and implement the major reform projects that we have envisaged. We have achieved a lot, but there is still a lot to do. I am happy to continue to do this work in the team of the government team, which is now being reassembled in parts. Thank you very much. Nina.
Yes, Mr. Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the confidence in the Chancellor to hand over the new task to me. I will address it with full force, but also with the necessary humility. I am happy to continue to advance the reform course that we have now begun and have put on the way, to co-design it even closer with the colleagues, federal ministers and their resources, but also to be able to work together with the countries and the factions so that our country can continue to advance. I am also looking forward to working with Philipp Amthor, and at this point I can also say that in the last 14 months I have been very happy to be Minister of Health. Thank you to all my employees there for what we have achieved together. I also wish Carsten Linnemann all the best for the task, and in this sense I am also looking forward to further cooperation now in the federal cabinet and for the trust. We will certainly make good use of the summer break to prepare things accordingly. Thank you very much.
Yes, the Federal Chancellor asked me yesterday to take over the office of Federal Health Minister. I thank him for the confidence he has shown, and I also thank Nina Warken, who did a really good job. And I want to continue this job as successfully as possible. I am aware that this is a big task, and therefore, yes, I also take on this task with humility, but also with great respect, because the topics of health and family affect us all, in the families everywhere. They touch, they go close, and that is why this topic is so important. I am looking forward to the task. Yes, Mr. Federal Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say thank you to the Federal Chancellor for the confidence to introduce me as Prime Minister to the Federal Chancellor for the Federal-State relations. This is a great task, a task that is also another condition of success for the success of our reform course that we have taken. This federal government has the state modernization, but all reform projects that it has written down on the agenda have always been understood as a statewide task. And that's why I am grateful to be able to work on it together with Nina Warken, also on government coordination. A warm word of thanks also applies to Federal Minister Dr. Carsten Wildberger and the entire team of the Federal Ministry for Digital and State Modernization. It was a real privilege for me to have contributed to the greatest reconstruction of a ministry since 1949 in the past few months. This task has not yet been completed, and I am glad that I can continue to work with the entire federal ministry in the new role on the tasks of state modernization. And my own task, if you will, is a proof that the government can increase efficiency. At the beginning of the federal government in the Federal Republic of Germany, there was a separate federal ministry for the affairs of the Federal Council and the states. More than 50 years ago, it was decided that this would be more efficient in the government headquarters in the Federal Chancellery. Since then, this office has also developed further. The cooperation with the states, the cooperation with the Parliament will form a focus, and I am grateful that I can advance this in the leadership team of the Federal Chancellery and look forward to the new task.